Differences between domestic and wild rabbits. Although domestic and wild rabbits share similarities in appearance, the two are very different. America is home to 14 species of wild rabbits, including cottontails, which are classified in either the Lepus or the Sylvilagus genus. Domestic rabbits, however, belong to the Oryctolagus cuniculus genus and hail from Europe. But the differences don't stop there. Both domestic and wild rabbits come from the family of Leporidae. However, this is where many of their similarities end. Domestic rabbits are descendants from the European hare, which vastly differ in social behaviors from the wild cottontail rabbit. In spite of coming from the same animal family, domestic and wild rabbits have evolved over time and cannot produce offspring together. Some factors to consider when differentiating between a domestic and a wild rabbit. Appearance. Wild rabbits are light brown in color, whereas a domestic bunny usually has a spotted coat or albino fur, with droopy lop hairs. Some domestic rabbits, however, do wear the color of their ancestors. Wild bunnies are smaller than domestic rabbits, with adult cottontails weighing up to 1.81 kilograms and domestic rabbits reaching more than 4.54 kilograms, depending on the breed. With rounded heads and chubby cheeks, domesticated bunnies are very different in head shape from their wild counterparts who sport a smaller, narrower head. Survival abilities. Because they belong to different species, domestic rabbits cannot reproduce with wild rabbits. In addition, a domestic rabbit cannot survive if set free outside. If left to fend for themselves in the wild, domestic rabbits will face such hazards as exposure to extreme temperatures, human and animal predators and poisonous plants. Typical lifespan. A wild rabbit can have a lifespan of 2 years, although due to predators and harsh weather conditions, many survive little more than a year. A domestic rabbit can live as long as 8 to 12 years if properly cared for and housed indoors, while a domestic rabbit housed outdoors generally will live half as many years as an indoor rabbit. A rabbit's diet. Wild and domestic rabbits have vastly different diets. A wild rabbit will generally eat clover, grass, and wild flowers in addition to grazing on farmers' and gardeners' crops. Their domestic counterparts, however, have specific dietary requirements, including 24-hour access to fresh timothy hay or orchard grass and clean water. To ensure good health, domestic rabbits also need fresh vegetables and high-quality pellets. Social behavior. Social behavior characteristics vastly differ between wild and domestic rabbits. When coming into contact with humans, wild rabbits will become alarmed and quickly hop away. Domestic rabbits, however, unless mistreated by humans in the past, will approach people with minimal caution. Wild rabbits engage in complex social hierarchy, and domestic rabbits likewise have a strong sense of community. Behavioral similarities and differences. Wild rabbits dig deep into the ground to create burrows, where they can sleep and care for their babies, with multiple entrances to keep them safe from predators and the weather. Domestic rabbits often like to dig and find comfort and safety in dark places, such as a cardboard box with at least 2 ways to get in and out. As prey animals, both wild and domestic rabbits tend to become frightened and run at loud sounds and at the scent of predatory animals such as dogs and large birds. However, with time and patience, a domestic rabbit can bond with humans, whereas wild rabbits typically fear humans and will run away. Can domestic rabbits live alongside their ancestors? Despite many people believing that setting a domestic rabbit in the wild is the right thing to do, it was never actually meant to live that way and won't survive for long. Domestic rabbits will instinctually dig a burrow just like their ancestors, but that's about as far as their survival skills would go. Important instincts and physical characteristics have been lost due to humans taking care of them for so long. Their wild abilities that are necessary for survival have lessened by many generations of domestication. Their man-made coat colors do not necessarily blend in with wild surroundings, attracting predators such as foxes and hawks. Wild rabbits generally have a lifespan of about 1 year, maybe 3 if they're really smart. The reality is that domestic rabbits continue to be safest, happiest, and healthiest when they are in our care. Although domestic rabbits don't belong in the wild, they still need plenty of space and exercise where they can run, hop and dig, none of which they can do in a hutch. Domestic bunnies have bounded into our affections in a very real way and make wonderful pets thanks to their adorable personality. Warnings. 1. You cannot legally keep a wild rabbit as a pet. If you find an abandoned wild baby rabbit or an injured wild rabbit, contact your local wildlife rehabilitation facility as soon as possible to increase the animal's chances of survival. 2. A wild rabbit who does not fear humans will not develop necessary survival skills. Thanks for watching. And please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more videos.